Okay, can you all hear me now? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, so the issue is changing the time. I had it at 5, and since I opened the room as soon as you all got done. Okay. So you good? All right. Hello, everyone. Little bit of so now we know that when we do this, the Zoom time, you have to open it up at least 10 minutes prior, 10 minutes after the start time. Okay. All right. So here we go. I am Dr. Dunbar, and we are going to start our Zoom meeting now. Okay, parents, so if you would take some time to locate your child's social studies teacher. And as you are doing that, we're going to start with Mr. Cantrell. Mr. Cantrell, can you please unmute and introduce yourself? Okay, Ms. Connolly.
Did they get in?
I muted everyone. There isn't anyone in the waiting room. Okay, those teachers that are currently in, can you go ahead and begin introducing yourself?
Hi, I'm Ms. Lundy Smith. I teach 7th grade social studies.
Hey, good evening. This is Mr. Roussel. I teach 7th grade social studies.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Miss Finney. I'm the 7th grade science and social studies co-teacher.
Good evening. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
This is Durazio. I teach 8th grade social studies.
And I'm Dr. Dunbar. I also teach 8th grade social studies. Okay, parents, if you would go to the sign in sheet and sign in for us. At the beginning of the admin segment, they gave you this link so that you could sign in. Just trying to make sure that everyone signs in today. And if you sign in, if you have more than one student here at Clements, you only have to do this form one time, okay? So we'll just give you a couple of minutes to type this address in and fill this form out if you have not done so. As you're doing this, we'd just like to welcome you to Clements Middle School with this 2020-2021 virtual school year. This is going to be a ride for everyone, but we can assure you that we are doing our very best here at Clements to make sure that everything goes as smoothly as it possibly can go, okay? We're gonna move on. Here is a virtual learning checklist. Ms. Washington, if you would go ahead and discuss this checklist with everyone. I don't know where Ms. Washington is. Y'all, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back. And I'm going to show all the parents the virtual learning checklist. If you can take a look at this, this is on everyone's Canvas page. All of the teachers have this on their Canvas page to make sure that you are prepared for virtual learning. There are some things that you have to do prior to the first day of school. And I know some of it may seem obvious to some of you all, but with so much going on, it's just kind of hard to remember every single thing. So you can have your child log in to their Canvas page, and it is the exact same infographic there, getting started with virtual learning. It's the checklist, okay? And here we are going to our next slide. It's the distance learning. And this is what we expect of the students while we are doing distance learning. Yes, it is school, but it's a different way of doing school this year. So at home, just make sure that your students, your children have a space for learning. At my house, we actually had to create a little desk area so that my daughter could have some privacy when she is doing her work. If you don't have the space to create if you don't have room to create a separate space, you can actually just make it like a corner of the room. But we're asking to create a space so that, you know, brothers and sisters aren't walking back and forth as your child is in their distance learning classroom. Also, we're asking that the students look at the screen. We're going to try to have as much participation as possible. Have them ask questions. It's okay to ask questions. Even though we are not in the typical classroom setting, it's still a classroom setting. We're going to have several ways for your students to communicate with us, one of which will be nodding your head. Sometimes we'll ask for a thumbs up. Sometimes we will ask them to click on some of the boxes that are in the chat box on Zoom, and also talk to others. Sometimes we will have opportunities for the students to either go into Canvas discussions and discuss, or have breakout rooms in Zoom, but we're just asking that the students just participate and talk to each other just as if they would in a normal classroom setting. Okay, here we are next with the student textbook and website, Mr. Roussel.
Yes, ma'am. So this is Mr. Roussel with 7th grade social studies. So I'm hoping by now everybody's had a chance to get access to the link for the online textbook for 7th grade social studies, at least for us. And that is the login and the password for that online textbook. Excuse me. That is all case sensitive, so please write this down just as you see it, or take a picture with your phone or something like that, screen capture. If you're looking at it on your computer or something like that, and please keep this somewhere safe where you can always have access to it, because the students are going to need this throughout the school year, at least during the time that we're virtual, okay? So the login is Newton-GA8, Alcovey19, and yeah, just write those down, please. Dr. Dunbar?
Okay, I was just giving them a second to write it down.
I got you.
Okay.
All right, so also this is our supply list from social studies. We don't need a whole lot. Since we're middle schoolers, we do some activities. Obviously that would be once we come back into the school, but mainly just one subject notebook, some pencils, pack of colored pencils, pack of sticky notes, some highlighters, optional personal headphones, USB flash drives are always a good idea, pencil sharpener and glue sticks. And that's pretty much all we need the students to have. If anything else comes up later on, we'll pass that information on to your brilliant young people and they can pass that information on to you, so.
Okay, and here's how the rest of the open today is pretty much going to run. You all, if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, please don't hesitate to email us here at the school. If you have any questions as of right now, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. all of our 8th grade schedules, well, all of the social studies schedules are on the students' Canvas page. Pretty much everything that you need to know, from the checklist to getting started with Canvas to the schedule, the hours, tech support, and you all if I am missing anything. But pretty much everything you need to know is on the student's Canvas page. It's probably more than you need to know, but everything is listed there to help your child be successful in this virtual school year. Okay, so this is how the rotation is going to go. So we have already done the webinar with the admin. Yes. I thought I heard someone ask.
I have a question. Can you
Go
hear
ahead.
me? Hi. Okay. Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Okay, good. My daughter is new, and I did ask the question about how to get that information, but I don't do I need like a student number or anything before I get to all the stuff that you told me about?
Yes,
Because I don't have that yet.
Have you registered her already?
I did, and I spoke to Miss Orr, and she
Okay,
did tell me she had a schedule, but I don't have like a student number.
Okay, did she come up to receive all of her material yet?
No, ma'am. We did.
Okay.
I didn't get any information, but
Okay, so what you can do tomorrow between 10
and 12.
and 12,
pick up.
come up and receive. Yes, you can receive all of the information, all of her books that she'll take home, and all of her login information.
I don't see anybody.
And Miss Dr. Dunbar, Mom, also make sure whoever you get the books from, tell them you need your student number so that you can take a picture of that before you leave, okay?
Okay, so just take a picture of the student number and get everything, all the information tomorrow from 10 and 12 in the bus lane, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Are there any more questions before we go over this rotation schedule?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I did not get the link to sign in.
Okay, we can go back to that.
Dr. Dunbar, I can put it in the chat box.
Okay, please do. Thank you very much. For those that did not get it, go ahead.
I see a question about accessing your child's schedule. They should be releasing the schedules. They keep the platform locked until they're ready to release for everyone, and I think they will be releasing in the next day. So then you would be able to log in your parent portal and see your child's schedule.
So what day are they opening?
I think they're going to open it tomorrow so you can see the schedule.
Okay. Are there any more questions in the chat box? No.
Dr. Dunbar.
Yes.
I'm sorry, this is Mr. Roussel. I'm sorry, just to double check real quick. I think the link that we gave was only for our 8th grade scholars. I don't think that for the textbook, I don't think that was the same link for our 7th grade scholars, was it? The textbook?
No, but when they log on, if I'm not mistaken, and Ms. Campbell, you can correct me with that, with the login information.
The login information for picking their books up?
No, the login information for
For their online textbooks.
Oh,
Online
yes,
textbook.
those are different. Those are different.
Okay,
They
I'm sorry,
should be
Dr.
on.
Go ahead, Dr. Dunbar.
Won't they be listed on each particular teacher's Canvas page?
Yes, ma'am. So what'll happen is each teacher, as you're training your students this week, you'll be able to put that up on your screen for them to capture that information.
Good question. Anyone else have any questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, so let's take a look at this schedule. So we've already done the webinar with the admin, and you all are in, it's gonna depend on what your last name is. Okay, so if your last name is A through E, that means you started out in ELA here. If your last name is F through J, you started out right here, okay? And rotation number 2, that keeps coming up. All right, in math, K through O, science here, Okay, P through T, you're here with us in social studies. So next you will go here to rotation 2, go into connections, okay? Connections is where you will go in the second rotation. In the third rotation, you will go here to ELA. The next rotation after that, you will go to math. And then your last rotation, you will go to science, okay? And I'm going to share the links with you just in case you missed them when admin did their intros, the links that you put in order to go to your next session. So you will have to leave this meeting and then go to the next meeting. So at the end of every meeting, you will have to leave and then enter the room into another meeting. Okay, so here if you're, here are the next links. So you all were with us in social studies, okay? So you all were here with us, so your last name should be P through T. Your next one is connections, okay? And here is the information for connections. If you all are out there and you're taking a picture of these, which, you know, a lot of times I like to do, this is the correct science information right here, okay? Next, you're going to connections is your next Zoom meeting. If you all have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are all in this same situation together. A lot of us will be on a learning curve, kind of getting this right. So it's going to require just a lot of grace and a lot of patience for everyone. We thank you all for coming to our social studies meeting. So parents, make sure that you end. It's a little red button down on the bottom. Let me see if I can show. End the meeting and go to the next meeting.
And Dr. Dunbar, I think your next rotation is already in here.
Already in? Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I'm in the next rotation. Do I just stay or do I need to go
Yep,
out?
you just stay right here. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Dunbar. I am the Social Studies Department Chair here at Clements Middle School, and we have our social studies teachers in grades 6 through 8. They're on here with us. We are going to begin our open house presentation, and we are so delighted that you're able to join us today.
We want to do introductions, Dr. Dunbar.
Yeah, I'm gonna start it over, Mr. Okay. Mr. Cantrell.
Hello. Okay, I'm Mr. Cantrell. I'm a social studies teacher in 6th grade, and I'm looking forward to starting Tuesday.
Hey everyone, my name is Miss Conley, and I'm one of the 6th grade social studies teachers.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Miss Finney. I'm the 7th grade social studies and science resource and co-teacher.
Hello, everyone. My name is Londi Smith, and I am a 7th grade social studies teacher. You're on mute, Mr. Roussel.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. Roussel. I'm also a 7th grade social studies teacher.
Ms. DeRazio?
Hey everybody, I'm Ms. DeRazio. I teach 8th grade social studies.
I am Dr. Dunbar. I teach 8th grade social studies. We also have with us Ms. Gaskins, who's in another meeting, and Ms. Clark, who is 8th grade social studies as well, who was not able to join us tonight. Okay, you received a link for signing in when the admin did their first introductions. If you did not receive that link to complete that form, here is the form. If you have more than one student that attends Clements Middle School, all you have to do is fill this form out one time. You do not have to fill this form out more than one time. There's a space on there for multiple names for your children. I'll just give you about 1 minute to go ahead and complete that form if you have not done so, or at least to get the link to be able to complete the form before, oh my goodness, before the presentation is over, okay? Moving right along, here we are with a virtual learning checklist, and I am going to show you what that virtual learning checklist looks like. Here you will be able to see, there are a lot of different things that we have to do for virtual learning that we wouldn't necessarily have to do when we are in person. And for those students who are coming back later on in person, they still have to do all of these because everybody will be getting started online. So you may think that there are simple things like, you know, making sure that devices are plugged in, but I cannot tell how many times throughout this whole ordeal of getting ready for virtual learning, or at least virtual teaching, that devices have gone dead because you're on them all day long. So please take a look at this checklist. This checklist is also located in your student's Canvas page, which you should have access to by tomorrow. So go on and take a look at the checklist to make sure that you have everything that you need in place for your student in order for your student to be successful. Okay? Next, we have our distance learning expectations, which is to SLANT. This is for online success. Like I said, school is going to be very different this school year, but that's okay. We all got this. We're all in the same boat. So what we're asking is that you kind of create a space for your child at home. I know for my daughter, we created a space in her bedroom. Even if you don't have space in a bedroom, you can like create a corner. But the reason that we're asking for space is so that each child can kind of feel comfortable when they're doing their distance learning. So a space so that their siblings, may not be walking back and forth. So that might be distracting to them. We don't want that. And then make sure looking at the screen is what we are expecting them to do. And the look is just for eye contact and good communication to make sure that they're paying attention. Ask questions. It is okay to ask questions. There are going to be many things that are going to be different. And we are here. We are here to answer any questions that the students may have. We're going to ask that they communicate via like nodding their head or giving us a thumbs up or clicking the yes, no button in the chat box. And we're also going to encourage the students to talk to each other. There will be times when they will be asked to post items in a discussion box. There'll be times when they're asked to respond to other students' responses. There'll also be times when we will put them in different breakout rooms and they'll have to communicate with each other. Okay, Mr. Roussel.
Yes, ma'am. So this is Mr. Roussel again, 7th grade social studies. And so until things change into it, we happen to come back into the school or whatever, obviously we're doing everything virtually. And as far as accessing our textbooks, we're having to do that online. And this is the password and the login for one of our textbooks. And if you look in the chat section, we actually have one of our teachers, Mr. Razio, has put the password and log in for each grade level's textbook online. So if you look in the text section, you can see the password and the login for the 8th grade, 7th grade, and 6th grade books. So you might want to take a picture of that with your cell phone, screen capture it, or write it down real quick, because this is going to be really important since our students won't have access to a hardback textbook while they're at home. They're going to have to access the textbook online. So please screen capture that information, take a picture with your phone, write it down, and please, parents, for our young scholars' sake, let's get this somewhere that we can make sure we always have access to it, okay? All right, as far as our supply list for social studies, in middle school, they don't need a whole lot because these are not our little babies. So they just need a one subject notebook, pencils, pack of colored pencils, sticky notes, some highlighters, optional personal headphones if you want to. We always need to use USB flash drives or thumb drives, whatever you choose to call them, pencil sharpener, and glue sticks. And if that list increases and we need some other things, we'll pass that information on to our young scholars, and they can pass that information on to you parents and family members at home, okay? Thank you.
Okay, before we go into this rotation schedule, does anyone have any questions? If you have questions, you can unmute yourself and just ask anything. Maybe you have some clarifying questions, or maybe you have some procedural questions that you might want to ask. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask.
I can't log into the, well, I sat here and went online to do the form, and it's coming up in a different language.
That's weird, because is it your settings on your computer? Because they've been completing them since like 5 o'clock.
I don't know. Let's see.
Good evening. While you guys are waiting on that, ma'am, I joined the meeting late. Is there a class schedule that was posted in the chat?
Your class schedule for your particular student will be located in their Canvas page, and you should have access to their Canvas page more than likely tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening.
Thank you very much.
Any more questions? Go ahead. Yeah, it's okay. Does someone have a question?
Is this the form right here? Can you guys see this?
No, we're not able to see. You'll see CLMS Mission Possible on the top of it.
Is the thing in the chat, like the web thing in the chat that I could just
You're
click
breaking
on?
up.
Is the link in the chat where I can just
Yeah.
click on it?
Yes.
Instead of doing it from my phone?
Yes. Okay, are there any more questions before we go on with this?
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and talk about this link. You all are right now in the second rotation, okay? So you came to social studies right here in the second rotation. So you are the ones with the last name K through O. So the next class that you will go to is Connections. So I'm going to post the links for all of the other classes for you to be able to log in and go to the Connections. Okay, so right here is the link for Connections. Mr. Razio, can you post the link in the chat box for me, please? So they'll be able to just click right on that link. Whenever you all do get to science, this will be the correct science ID and passcode, okay? All right, are there any questions? If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourselves. Okay. All right, if you have no questions, we thank you for attending the social studies open house. You may leave this meeting and go to your next connections meeting.
If you all have already been to Connections and you need a link for another Zoom, you can put it in the chat.
I promise y'all we'll have this right by the time school starts. Next session.
Okay,
So we're already into our third.
All right, I'm Mr. Cantrell, and I am one of the 6th grade social studies teachers.
I am Ms. Conley, and I'm one of the 6th grade social studies teachers.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Miss Penny, and I'm the 7th grade social studies and science resource and co-teacher.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mrs. Londy Smith, and I am one of the 7th grade social studies teachers.
Good evening, everyone. I am Mr. Roussel. I'm also one of the 7th grade social studies teachers.
Mr. Razio.
Good evening, I'm Mr. Razio. I'm an 8th grade social studies teacher.
Hello, I am Dr. Dunbar, and I am also an 8th grade social studies teacher. With we don't have Miss Gaskin, who will be assisting us, and we are missing Miss Clark, who was unable to be here tonight. She is also an 8th grade social studies teacher. So what you can do is take this opportunity while we're on this slide, and you can scan this code and get to know a little bit more about each of the teachers. You will not have access to your children's schedule until tomorrow evening, but feel free to take a picture of this page or a screenshot of this page, and then you will be able to return to it tomorrow and get to know your student's teacher a little bit more, or your child's teacher just a little bit more. Okay, here we have a form that you need to fill out. Just in case you missed it during the introduction that the admin did, we have it now posted in the chat box, so you can go on and fill this form out. If you have more than one child that attends Clements, you only have to complete one form. There will be spaces on that form that will allow you to put more than just one child's name. So click on that. I'll give you a few seconds to click on that, so at least the form is open as we are going through our open house presentation for social studies. Okay, moving right along. There is a virtual learning checklist, and this is something else we can post in the chat as well, please. And you can click on this link and open up the virtual learning checklist. Now, on this virtual learning checklist, there are all types of things that you need to do just in order to ensure that your child has a successful virtual learning experience. And there are things on there like charging devices. And I know people are like, what do you mean charge a device? Well, because they're going to be on their devices for so many hours throughout the day, it is a good idea to have the device is charged overnight. And I'm not just talking about their tablet. I'm talking about phones, tablets, Chromebooks, making sure that everything, it's just little things like that that are on the checklist. So even though you may think you know everything, it is always a good idea to go down that checklist and go down the checklist with your children too. We're going to put some of this responsibility, back on them. I mean, after all, they are in middle school now. So just go to this link and then take a look at that checklist and follow that checklist. Here we have our distance learning expectations. We call it SLANT. Try to provide a space in your home for your child, a space that's quiet, free from distractions. They won't have their siblings, walking back and forth behind them, kind of distracting them from their learning. It doesn't have to be a room. It can be a corner. It can be a table, but just know that space is a space that's designated for their distance learning. We're asking that the students look at the screen. You'll see a lot of students are like, way over here, out of frame, out of camera, but we're asking that they look at the screen so that they'll be able to participate fully. Asking also that they ask questions. We know this is not the typical school setting. It's not. But however, the learning does not stop. So if your students or your children are having any questions or you have any questions, feel free to message us through Canvas. You can email us. The students can raise their hand in class just to make sure they can also type in the chat box. But this needs to be as interactive as we can possibly get it. So feel free to ask questions. They will be answered. We're also asking that students communicate with us through like nodding their heads or posting in the chat box. Sometimes we'll ask them to give us a thumbs up. Sometimes we will ask them to click buttons, some yes or no buttons in the chat box. Sometimes we'll even ask them to go on Canvas and post in discussions. But we just want that lines of communication to be open and the participation for the students to participate as much and as fully as they can. And our last one is talk, and especially middle school. We all know that's what they love to do. So we're asking that they communicate with us. They talk to each other, either through the discussion box or through the chat box. We may even ask them to post something in Canvas where they are agreeing or disagreeing with something that a student wrote, or paying a student a compliment, or critiquing a student's work. So we will have ways for them to talk to each other, even though they are not face-to-face. All right, next is our student textbook.
Yes, so good evening again. This is Mr. Roussel from 7th grade social studies. So since we are not in a traditional educational setting and we're doing everything virtually right now, the students don't have access to a hardback textbook, so they're having to access the textbook online. For each one of those textbooks at each grade level, they'll have to have this login and password. If you look in the chat section of the meeting, Mr. Razio has typed in the password and the login for each grade level. I asked the parents and family members either take a picture of that information, write it down, or screens capture it or something to make sure that you have that information for your young person, because that's going to be very, very important for them to have as long as we're doing this virtual learning. Also, our supply list. They don't need a whole lot of supplies for middle school social studies, but we are asking just a few minimum things. So as a note, such as a notebook, pencils, maybe some colored pencils, sticky notes, a few highlighters, maybe some personal headphones. They don't have to be expensive or anything like that. Always, thumb drives and flash drives are always a good idea. Pencil sharpener and glue sticks. If that list increases or expands or anything like that, we think they need more, we'll pass that on to the young scholars, and they can pass it on to you guys as far as family members and parents, and then we'll just go from there, okay?
Okay, are there any questions before we go on to this rotation? You can unmute yourselves and ask any questions that you may have. Are there any questions in the chat box?
No, ma'am, there's not.
Okay. All right, so we are into our third rotation. So you all that are with us, your last name, you have F through J as your last name. So what you are going to do next is you are going to go to connections next. You will be going to connections, okay? We are going to post in the chat box the link, so you can just, what you'll do is you'll leave here and go in this meeting and then log into the connections meeting. If you've already went to connections, you can just post it in the chat box that you want another link, okay? Here are the other links for the other departments. This right here is the correct science link. So if you are going to science, here's that link for science.
Dr. Dunbar, can I also add that the students' schedules should be live and active in Infinite Campus as of right now?
Oh, okay, awesome. Woohoo!
Schedules are live and active as of right now.
Yay. So now you will be able to go ahead and log into their Canvas page, correct, Dr. Pennington?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, Dr. Dunbar, to the green family out there, I am loving your signs already. Your yes, your no, the thumbs up, that is awesome.
Yay. Shout out to the green family. Woo woo. I can see they're gonna be distance learning rock stars, right, Mr. Roussel? Okay, so if there are no more questions, we thank you for attending our open house social studies department presentation. Remember, fill out that form, please. You'll leave this meeting, end this meeting, and then enter into your next meeting.
Have a good evening.
Hello, where do I find the form?
Scroll up in the chat box and there'll be a link up there for the form. And in the link, you'll actually see it'll say form.
I don't see it.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yes, the connections link isn't working for me.
Did you click the one in the chat box?
Yes,
It's not working.
Not working.
Yeah, I tried to click it too.
Okay, let me go back. And also, if you all are on our email list, the links were emailed to you as well. So you can open your email and go through it that way.
That's the same link. I clicked on it also in the email, still not working. Clicked on it in the chat box, still not working.
It's not working. Okay, can one of you email Ms. Bellamy or email admin? Because I can't do it because I'm sharing my screen. Thank you for letting us know that.
Okay,
which one is that, the connections link?
Connections link. Okay, I'm gonna just leave that up and for like one more minute. And for those of you that are not, that are just joining us, just sit tight and we will begin our next segment in just a minute. We're trying to give our participants of the last segment a chance to log in to their next segment. So just bear with us. Okay. Okay, hello, everyone. I'm going to start sharing my screen with everyone and start the presentation. And we'll begin introducing ourselves just after the music finishes. Okay.
Okay, I'm Mr. Cantrell, and I'm one of the 6th grade social studies teachers here at Clements.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Miss Penny. I'm the 7th grade social studies and science resource and co-teacher.
Hello, my name is Miss Conley, and I'm one of the 6th grade social studies teachers.
Hi, I'm Miss Gaskins. I'm one of the 6th grade and 8th grade co-teachers.
Hi, everyone. My name is Londi Smith. I'm one of the 7th grade social studies teachers.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. Roussel. I'm one of the 7th grade social studies teachers.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mrs. Dorazio. I'm the 8th grade, we're in 8th grade social studies teacher.
Hi, and I'm Dr. Dunbar, another 8th grade social studies teacher. We have Miss Clark, who could not be here with us today. She is also an 8th grade social studies teacher. Okay, what you can do is, we were just informed that you have access to your Canvas page now. So you can log on to your Canvas page. Students, you can log on to your Canvas page. Parents, you can have them log on and find out who their social studies teacher is by looking at their schedule. Once you find out who your child's teacher is or who your teacher is, you can scan these codes just to know, a little bit more about the teacher that you will have teaching you social studies this year. Just a little bit, just a little bit we decided to share with you all so that you can get to know us, so that you'll feel a little more at ease with us when we do begin our virtual learning. So I'll give you a few seconds. If you don't know your child's Canvas login and all that, you can actually screenshot this page and then go back to it later on. So I'll just give you a few seconds to screenshot it, maybe take a picture of it, whatever mode, whatever way you want to do it. Okay, here you have a sign-in sheet. For those of you that were not able to log on during the admin's introductions, you'll be able to go to the chat box and click on this form and be able to fill this form out. If you have more than one student that attends Clements Middle School, you only have to fill out one form. On that form, there is a space for you to add the names of your other children if you have more than one student that attends Clements. So I'll give you a few seconds to go on and do that. Even if you even if you do not completely fill the form out now, you can at least have the form open so that you'll be able to fill it out at the conclusion of this segment. All right, also here that you'll find this in the chat box as well is a tiny URL. It is a link to your virtual learning checklist. On this list, there are several things that you need to do in order to prep for virtual learning. Now, this is not something that you wait Monday night and try to do. On this list, you'll find about 15 to 20 things that you just need to go down and just check it off. Check it off. Yes, I've done that. Yes, we have this. Yes, we have that. And it's not a mandatory list, but in order to ensure that your child has, as much success as possible with the virtual learning, we're asking throughout the whole district that you go through and check off these items on this list. And it's no time like the present time. I would start like tonight because if you find out that there's something on the list that you need to do that may take you a couple of days to get it done, then you will have those couple of days to actually get it done and not waiting until Monday night and then find out that there are 5 things on there that there's no way that you can make it happen in that amount of time for class to start on Tuesday morning. So go through the list, because there are things that you think you may know that even some of us are like, oh, okay, wow, we still have to do that for our own children at home, okay? Next, in order to ensure that your students have a very good distance learning experience, we have some expectations. And one of them is to have a space in the house, have a space for them so that they're learning in a quiet environment, so that they're learning in an environment that's not distracting. And that may be the kitchen table, that may be in their room. But if they're anything like my son, we had to move his section out of his, but you may have a space for them to avoid distractions, okay? But it will simulate as much of a school environment as it can, so that they'll know that this is serious, okay? Look at the computer screen. So we're asking them to actually, have their face visible in the computer screen. Look at the screen, because a lot of teachers are like me. You see, I talk with my hands. That'll eliminate, a lot of they're distracting their cell phone, they're looking down, opportunity to do like this, to fall asleep. We don't want any of that. So if you hear some of the teachers saying, okay, Mr. Bell, I want to see your face, I want to see your eyes, that's why we're asking them to actually look into the camera, so that we'll be able to communicate with them and just help them out as we are teaching. We encourage the students to ask questions. Ask questions. Even though we are not in a traditional school setting, we are still trying to make this experience a good experience for the students. So if there's something that they don't understand, especially during these next couple of weeks where we are trying to familiarize them with this online platform, there are going to be links they'll have to click on. There'll be spaces, places within Canvas that they will have to go. There'll be directions on how to post assignments and discussions. If they do not know, we are asking that they ask. And then as we get into the content, same thing. Raise your hand in the chat box. Type the question in the chat box. We are asking the students to ask questions in order to, again, make this experience as pleasurable as it can be. We're asking the students to also nod their heads. This is a way of keeping the lines of communication open, and will also be able to help us know whether the students are understanding what we're teaching. So we'll be asking them to kind of do this in several ways. One of the ways might be to nod their head, maybe to give a thumbs up. Also in the chat box, we'll have a thumbs up or a thumbs down button, or a raise their hand button, but we're asking that the students kind of communicate with us so that we will know, we'll be able to check for their understanding. And the last one is to talk to others. We will have several ways for the students to talk to each other. Just because it's not face-to-face, that doesn't mean that the students won't be able to communicate with each other. Sometimes we'll be asking them to post discussions in the discussion on Canvas. We may be asking them to respond to one of their peer assignments. We may even be asking them to use a rubric and rate a student's assignments. Do you agree with this student? Do you disagree? Why or why not? So we will be coming up with several ways for them to be able to talk to each other. We're just asking that they actually do it and participate. Okay, textbook.
All right, so this is Mr. Roussel again with 7th grade social studies. So based on this being a non-traditional educational setting, our scholars won't have access to a hardback textbook. Everything is online. So to access those online textbooks, they're gonna have to have these passwords and logins. And if you look at the text stream to the right, one of our teachers, Ms. Durazio, has put the password and login code for each grade level for each textbook so that they can access online. So we ask that you do a few things. Either screen capture that if you're on your computer, take a quick picture with your phone or write it down on a sheet of paper and keep this somewhere where your young person can always have access to it, because this is how they're going to access the textbook online until we get back to a regular traditional educational setting. Okay, so please make quick note of this. Take a couple of seconds to take a picture, screen capture it, or write it down or something. But that's very important for them to access the online textbook. Also, our supply list for social studies in middle school. Now, based on the fact that these are our middle school scholars and not the little babies in elementary school, they don't need a whole lot, okay? So basically what we're asking is that just make sure normally they have notebooks, something to write with like pencils, maybe some colored pencils, sticky notepads, maybe a pack of highlighters, some headphones, thumb drives and USB flash drives are always a good idea, pencil sharpener, and maybe some glue sticks. This list could grow later on. If that happens, then we'll pass that information on to our young people and they can pass it on to mom and dad or family members or whoever, and then we'll just go from there, okay? Thank you very much.
Okay, before we go over this next rotation, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask any questions that you may have, clarifying questions or something maybe that you didn't hear, or maybe we didn't discuss it. Are there any questions in the chat box? No?
No.
Okay, I guess by now all their questions have been answered. Remember, as of now, your students, your children do have access to their Canvas pages. So they can go ahead and log in to Canvas to get their schedules and also to see which teachers they'll have, not only for social studies, but for all of their other subjects. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email us here at the school. Email is the best form of communication right now. As you can probably imagine, that the phone lines are, constantly busy. However, the emails are the quickest and easiest way to contact any of us here at the school. And on that first slide, we all had our email addresses listed on our greeter. So that was actually our 4th rotation, correct? So we have one more rotation. So you all's next, should have been connections. No, is math, am I correct? No, they still should be going to connections. So I'm going to post the links. Okay. So here's the connections link for you to go to connections. If there is a segment or subject that you did not attend, being that this is the last rotation, I encourage you to go ahead and go to that subject area now. So what you will have to do is you will have to leave this meeting and then log into the next meeting for the next subject area. So if we don't have any questions, then we thank you for attending our Social Studies Department open house segment. Okay, this is our last. Is this our last segment or was that our last segment?
No, this is our last one here.
Okay. So actually 1 more minute, we'll be right on time. One more again, y'all.
Ms. Dunbar? Are we
Yes.
supposed to be able to hear the music?
You can't hear it?
No,
No, we can't. I'm assuming.
Oh,
and
okay.
You know, but we're just like,
only music that hurts my stomach.
That's why I'm like, okay.
everybody's like, what music? But
Okay. All right. Go ahead and start then.
Okay, I'm Mr. Cantrell, and I'm one of the 6th grade social studies teachers here at Clements.
Hey guys, it looks like it's just social studies teachers and
right, nobody's in here.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I
let's
think
introduce
that was
ourselves
our
once
last
again. Once again.
just letting you guys know that we don't probably have to start until somebody comes in, if anyone comes in.
That's right.
I
Let's get a bite to eat
mean,
real
I'd like
quick.
to meet you all again, but just saying.
So for future, since we're the only ones in, it is a good idea to, in the settings in Zoom, go ahead and make somebody a co-host, because admitting people to the room. So one of you all are doing, it's somebody in the room now, but anyway, I'm gonna let them in a second. But you know, trying to let them into the room and keep going with the presentation.
So I've been thinking this is better. And remember how we combined at the end last time? We might end up having to do that again, because I just don't see. I'm watching Ms. Durazio, I'm just watching everybody handle the chat, and I'm purposely not doing it because I feel like eventually it gets confusing with too many people's.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to manage all this.
Let's do this one in Spanish.
Well, you can't see the chat if you're sharing your screen. You do know that.
Yeah, I've got the chat, guys. I've got it.
I don't know how this is really.
But I'm talking about individually in your classrooms when you're teaching your students. You can't see the chat.
Yeah, but if
I'm gonna admit
people
this,
are asking questions, I'm messaging them like privately, so it's not flooding the chat with
awesome
confusing stuff.
So we
I've
have
got-
like
I've got the
3
chat.
people. Okay. We have like 3 people in the waiting room, so we're gonna go one more time, y'all. Y'all ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right. Okay, hello. We would like to welcome you to our Social Studies Department Open House segment. Thank you all for being here and sticking around with us until our last rotation. We're going to begin introducing ourselves.
Okay, I'm Mr. Cantrell. I'm one of the 6th grade social studies teachers here at Clements.
I'm Miss Finney. I'm the 7th grade social studies and science resource and co-teacher.
I'm Miss Conley, and I'm one of the 6th grade social studies teachers.
I'm Miss Gaskins, and I am a 6th grade and 8th grade co-teacher for social studies.
Hi guys, I'm Miss Smith. I am one of the 7th grade social studies teachers.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. Roussel. I'm a 7th grade social studies teacher.
Hey everybody, I'm Mrs. Durazio. I'm an 8th grade social studies teacher.
Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Dunbar, and I am an 8th grade social studies teacher. We also have Ms. Clark, who could not be with us tonight. She is also an 8th grade social studies teacher. You have the opportunity now to log into your child's Canvas page to find out which social studies teacher they have. So once you do that, you'll be able to scan one of these codes just to get to know a little bit more about your teacher, to kind of put your mind and, you know, everything at ease about knowing just a little bit about your teacher. So what you can do is, if you don't know your child's schedule, or if you don't want to switch back and forth, toggle back and forth, you can go ahead and capture this page as a screenshot, or take a picture of it, and then later on you'll be able to scan that code and get just a personal introduction from each one of the teachers. Okay. Right here, we have our sign-in form. Being that this is the last segment of the day, many of you may have already signed in. If you have not signed in, go on over to the chat box and click that link and fill that form out. If you have more than one student that attends Clements Elementary, woo, baby. If you have more than one child that attends Clements Middle School, you only have to fill out form out one time. There's space on that form for multiple students to be enter on the same form. So I'll give you a few seconds to go over and do that. Even if you do not finish the form, at least you'll have the form open so that then you can go back and finish the form later on at the end of this segment. All right, here you will have a link over in the chat box to a virtual learning checklist. This checklist is important because even myself as an educator, I found things on that checklist that I needed to do for my own daughter who is going to be doing virtual learning here with Newton County next week coming up. So I encourage you to go to that list and just go down the list. Even if you think that there aren't things that you may need, go over that list with your child, because going over that list with them gives them some sense of responsibility. I mean, they're in middle school now, so it's time for them to actually start taking ownership over their own learning. So go down that list with your child to make sure that those things on that list are in place, because you do not want to wait until Monday night and go through the list and discover that there are things that you have missing or things that you need to do that won't be able to get done because it's Monday night at 8 o'clock. So actually, as soon as this segment is over, when we're done, go to that list, check that list to make sure that you have everything lined up and everything ready for Monday, everything ready for Tuesday and ready to go. Okay, what we have here is we have our distance learning expectations. There are some things that we are expecting the students to do to make this experience pleasurable for everyone. So the first thing is to create a space within your home somewhere. It could be at the kitchen table. It can be at a corner in a room. It could be in their bedroom somewhere, but we're asking that you create a space so that the students understand that this is serious learning. Even though it's not face-to-face, it is learning. So when they go to that space, they'll know that, okay, it's time out for all of the distractions. It is time for me to actually sit, and it's actually time for me to learn. We're asking that the students look at the screen. And one of the reasons that we're asking students to do this is because some children will do this and they're all the way over to the right. They're looking at cell phones and all you see is their ear, or they're looking at the tablet or playing the game. So we're asking that they actually look at the screen, and that will cut down on a lot of the distractions that they may have going on around them. Even though this is not traditional learning, we are still here to teach your students. So we encourage them to ask questions about anything. If it's about a link, if it's about content, if it's about where to go to post an assignment, how to do a discussion, how to download a file, anything. So these next couple of weeks, we'll be going over a lot of our expectations, a lot of how-tos, and then we'll be getting into our content. So if they have questions about the how-tos, that's fine to email the teacher. It's fine to raise your hand in the chat box. It's fine to type a question in the chat box. It's fine to unmute themselves and ask the question. It's okay. We are here to teach them. Without them, we wouldn't even need to be here. So we encourage them to ask questions, no matter what question it is. And we're also asking that students communicate with us. And when we say communicate, we mean like nod their head so that we can check for understanding. Give us a thumbs up, okay? Sometimes we will ask them to go over to the chat box and press the thumbs up or the thumbs down in the chat box. We'll also ask them to do things like, type in the chat box, hold on, I'm coming, or I need help, or slow down. So all of these things will be able to help us check for understanding to see if they are actually, in fact, engaged and learning. And our last one is to talk to each other. We know that we are not in a traditional setting where the students can sit side by side and discuss, but we will come up with several ways for students to be able to discuss with each other. They'll be able to post in discussion. They'll be able to respond to each other's work. We may even have a rubric or something like Flipgrid where they have to respond via video to another student's work or another student's answer or response saying, hey, I agree with you because, or I disagree with you. This is why I disagree with you. But we're encouraging them to talk to each other in whatever format we give them to be able to discuss and communicate with each other. And we call this slant.
All right, so this is Mr. Roussel again with 7th grade social studies. So based on the fact that this is a non-traditional educational setting, our young scholars won't have access to a hard copy of their textbook because they're at home and we're doing everything virtually now. But they will be able to access the textbook online, okay? And each grade level has a different password and login. And fortunately for us, Mr. Razio, if you look at the text stream to the right, Mr. Razio has typed in each password and login code for each individual grade level. So what I'm asking everybody is just take a quick picture of that with your phone or write that information down and make sure you have it for the correct grade level of your young scholar. You can see one for 8th grade, 7th grade, and 6th grade. If you don't have that, then your child won't be able to access the online textbook, and that is case sensitive. So please make sure that you write it down properly because it's going to be very important for our young people. Okay, also our supply list, based on the fact that our young scholars aren't babies anymore, we're in middle school now, they don't need a whole lot for social studies. The traditional things, just make sure they have a notebook or two, pencils, possibly some colored pencils, sticky notes, maybe a pack of highlighters, possibly some personal headphones. Thumb drives are always a good idea, flash drives, pencil sharpeners, and glue sticks. If this list needs to increase or expand it or anything like that in the future, then we'll pass that information on to the children. They can pass that on to mom and dad or family members or whoever. But for right now, this is pretty much the basis of what we need, okay? Thank you very much.
Okay, are there any questions before we move on? Well, we're done with our segment, but before we conclude our segment, if you have any questions, just unmute yourself or you can type it in the chat box. Again, you will have access to your student's Canvas page as of now. So you'll be able to go on and look at a lot of different things. You'll be able to go on and look at their schedules. You'll be able to go on and look at their teachers. You'll see some welcome messages there. Most of our modules are not open yet, but you'll be able to check out the Canvas page and get some directions and some directives from admin, from teachers. You'll also have access to certain emails like tech support emails, teacher emails, just a wide variety of different things that are located on that Canvas. What we're trying to do is we're trying to make this experience as easy and as pleasurable for everyone as we possibly can. So again, we just like to thank you all for attending our segment. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask the questions. You can email. That is probably the best form of communication right now because the phone lines are experiencing high volume, high volume of calls. So if you email us, that is the quickest way for us to be able to return your email and get back with you as quickly as we possibly can. No questions in the chat? No? Okay, that concludes our social studies department open house segment. We thank you all for attending. Bye.
When do we log off of this?
I was trying to wait for all of them so we could just have a quick chat. Oh, I see right there. I could have just clicked on you, Durazio. It's funny because some of these, when you click on the 3 dots, some of them say different things. Everybody's doesn't say the same.
3 dots?
Odd.
Yeah, I might only be able to see it as the host, but each person has a blue box at the top and 3 little dots beside it, but not everybody. Miss Gaskins, you seem to be like a Zoom.
Yeah, I only see right now like mute. I don't see anything else. Like if I was the host, I'd be able to see different things. But I think it depends on your settings in your Zoom like a Zoom account and everything. Like if you've set it where you can have co-host or breakout rooms and different things like that. I mean,
Let me ask y'all a question. When I was switching back and forth to admit people, could y'all see that? Did it stop sharing or it kept sharing?
it kept sharing.
Okay.
Why does my family keep calling me?
That little admit from waiting room, that thing flashes fast.
Does it? Yeah. Mine flashes in my right-hand corner whenever I've had it.
Did you set it to do that? Because mine is up top.
No, I guess, I don't know. I don't know why it did that.
Well, you guys thoughts, comments? I
agree once we got in. I'm a little nervous because just watching, I'm not sure, how am I going to manage this? If all the kids show up, that's all I'm worried about.
Because you don't have a co-teacher, do you?
Well, I do have a para 6 period, but by then I will have failed miserably all day. So,
Sierra, who are you working with?
Mr. Roussel.
Okay. 2 times?
Just one, because I have one resource for each.
Okay. Okay. Okay, cool.
You're busy, Miss Gaskins. You got 6th and 8th grade. Busy.
Yes.
It'll be great.
They must know I can do it, so I mean, whatever. No, it'll be fun. I mean, heck, this is the 3rd time I've worked with this group that's in 8th grade, so I mean, I've had them since they were in 6th grade, so it'll be.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I moved up 1 year with my students, but I love those students. So
I was trying to get rid of one student, but that's neither here nor there. But
Recording, be careful. We're all recording.
There you go. Sorry. I love all my students.
There you go.
Oh yeah, we should have stopped this because this is going on the
hold on, I can
Stop recording this.
Disregard.
Hold on.
I had jokes to say and I can't say them because
they will put the entire thing on there.
I think they should edit it.
Because
they're not going to put like all 5 sessions or whatever we just sat through.
Yeah.
I hope not. I hope they just put the first one y'all had or whatever.
The first one was a hot mess. Go for like 3 or 4.
Yeah, don't do this one.
I think we were on a roll after 3 or 4, but that first one. Okay. That's it, you guys.
Okay.
All right, well,
We'll have a PLC.
we'll have lunch. Y'all have lunch tomorrow if you ordered it.
Have a good supper,
Oh, I
Penny.
did.
Thank you.
And bring a
All right.
drink because you're not getting a drink, just FYI.
Okay. What time is lunch getting here?
12.
12 when I'm leaving.
Well, I'm going to pick it up like at 11:50 and everything because lunch is from 12 to 1.
Okay.
Sarah can have mine because I'll be leaving at 12.
Wow.
Are you serious?
I got to have an eye appointment. I have my third eye cut out.
Oh my God. Did you fall down the stairs?
No, I've had this for 10 years, but it's coming out in October.
Caitlin fell down the stairs and she
I
had
think
like a
it's a boy,
unicorn
too.
bump. I promise I'm a good mom though.
Gonna report you to the people.
I know.
You've been home in quarantine so long, you've been abusing that girl.
Listen.
No, probably. If they
Not my
listen to
fault
this
she can't go down the
conversation,
stairs
they'll
yet.
say I've been something wrong too, but whatever.
But look, no, it probably was the other way around, Derazia.
I'm logging on.
She was probably was abusing you.
No. Never.
All right, I'm gonna leave. I'll see y'all.
All right, bye.
All right.
Bye.